Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? It's your boy Rich with our special guest, David Moadel. How you doing today, David?
What's up? Hey, Rich. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. We are live on YouTube, the greatest streaming platform in the universe. And I wanted to introduce you, David, to our entire community watching all over the world. So before I do this, David, I'm gonna just step out. I'm gonna turn record on my video camera. I'm gonna give you the floor just to tell everyone a little bit about yourself. Go ahead, Dave.
You got it. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. You're live on Rich TV. I'm David Moadel, and I have my own YouTube channel. But today it's not about me. It's about Rich TV going live. Man, this guy Rich, he puts out so much content. I'm a fan of his. I'm hooking up with him on YouTube to do this live stream. We're doing this together so we can combine our knowledge and give it to you. And then, this is a live stream, so you can communicate with us as well. And we want to hear what you have to say today. Because what a day it is in the markets. What a week. What a year. My goodness. So, Rich, tell them what's going on.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Okay, so let's start with stocks, first of all.
Yeah.
Now, I know you love marijuana stocks, and I absolutely love marijuana stocks, okay?
Yep.
And they've been up and down and up and down, and for the last couple of months, they've been more down than up, right?
Yeah. It's funny. Have you ever noticed that when something goes up a lot, suddenly everybody wants to buy it? Have you noticed that tendency?
I mean, I've done it. I've done it myself, unfortunately. I've been stuck doing that myself. As a human being, we make that mistake far too often.
Yeah, and then at around, let's say, late October, early November, there was a lot of hype around the marijuana stocks. First of all, they're very appealing to people because they're usually low priced.
That's right.
So the entry point is very low. You can have $100 or even less and get started. Okay. Of course, it's I'm thinking in terms of U.S. dollars. It's going to be $5 to get in, $5 to get out, just because of the commissions. But anyway, you can have a smaller account and you can get in at a very low entry point. It was very attractive at the time because a lot of hype was priced in. People were saying, oh, in the United States, what states are going to legalize recreational and or medical marijuana? And of course, it did happen in most of the states that voted on it. At least one or both, recreational and or medicinal, was in fact approved. But the hype was already built in late October, early November, and people asked me. They said, Dave. They would email me. They would call me. They would contact me on my YouTube channel. They'd say, Dave, what do you think? This is a time to get in, right? And this was after the marijuana stocks had all gone up 20%, 50%, 100 or more percent. Now, me, I don't believe in chasing, okay? Just like with the ladies, just like with the stocks. If you try to chase them, they run it doesn't work, all right?
It's so
let
true.
them come to you.
That's right. That's right. Indifference works.
My girlfriend's going to kill me for saying that, but God bless her. Wendy, I love you wherever you are right now, probably working your tail off, unlike me. So when something has gone up that much, that fast, can it go up more? Sure. But there's a lot more room to the downside when something has gone up that steeply, that quickly, than there is to the upside. It might go up a little more, but it can go down a whole lot more. And they say that all gaps get filled. Well, that gap is in the process of getting filled. The downside gap I'm talking about, okay?
That's right.
When guys like Snoop Dogg come out on CNBC, literally, and they're telling you now's the time to get into the marijuana industry. When you've got Kramer telling you to get in. But you know what? If you know it and I know it, if you know it's a good trade, I know it's a good trade, and your Uber driver knows it's a good trade, and people who are not even in the pot industry or the financial industry know it's a good trade, guess what? It's probably too late, okay? Because if it's the obvious trade, it's probably wrong. Think about it. 9 out of 10 retail traders fail at this. They fail. They lose money.
That's
right. So if 90% of people are going right, I have a tendency to want to go left. When most people zig, I want to zag. You know what? I've been a contrarian since I was a kid. Even when I was a kid, I think whatever everybody else is doing. I want to do the opposite. That's natural within me. I like, I'm a financial coach. I'm not a registered or a licensed investment advisor. Okay. Everything we're saying today is not a suggestion to buy or sell anything. Okay. You got to do your own homework, do your own due diligence. But what I do for myself, and that's all I can tell you, is what I do. When everybody wants to go one way, I tend to go the other way. Let the marijuana stocks go down, find a bottom, okay, find some sort of support level where it just doesn't seem to want to go below that level. And then when it starts to curl back up, that's when you want to get in, okay? No, October, November, that was not the time. I put out the video telling people that I'm not doing that. I'm not getting in. I got a lot of negative flack for that. And now, well, 6 months later or longer, yeah, I don't want to say I was right, but look at the chart, okay? One chart that I like to look at, and I know you're in the Canadian area, so HMMJ, the ETF.
Yes.
Yeah, do you have have you traded this one yourself?
Oh, I own it. Oh yeah, I own it.
Okay.
Yeah, I own it. I believe I was the first one ever on YouTube to talk about HMMJ.
Yeah, I put out a video about that as well. About 2 weeks after it was approved just approved by the SEC, and I'm amazed they even approved it because they're such stodgy older people. But they're old school. But they did approve it. Unfortunately, in the United States, it's a little bit hard to find. I would say Interactive Brokers.
No, there's an American symbol. It's HLMSF.
Right, but it's still not every broker. If you have your E-Trade account, you might have trouble with it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So Interactive Brokers is a really good one. I'm not telling people where to go or what to do. Quest Trade, I know that's on your side of things.
In Canada, that's right.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Check Fidelity and Schwab as well, who, by the way, both finally lowered their prices for commissions. They're both around $5 a trade.
Wow.
They should have been doing that a long time ago. They finally did it. So I'm looking, when I'm wondering how are the pot stocks doing, I've got my monitor over here in case anybody who's wondering why I'm looking to this side all the time. I'm looking at the 1-year chart of HMMJ right now. The 1-year chart, it's 876 right now. That's a gauge for me, okay? Yes, you can look at the marijuana index, but I like to look at something that's actually tradable. So $8.76 a share, U.S. dollars, of course, because that's my way of thinking for HMMJ. It is starting to curl up a little bit recently. I want to see it at least break 9 for goodness sake. Okay, show me some strength.
Absolutely.
It's just been going sideways for the last month and a half. It is at the upper end of that little new channel there, but it's such a if you're looking at the Bollinger Bands, they're going to be so tight right now. Does that mean a breakout's going to happen? Well, the Bolly Band people believe in that. I don't know. I think it can go sideways even more. So let it break that channel. Let it go through to the upside. Then I'll get in, and then I'll tell people to start possibly. Again, I don't tell you what to do, but I'll tell you that I'm going to get back in, and I'm going to hold on to it until it reclaims its former glory in the 11 to 12 area.
That's right. I think it hit a high of $12.40.
Yeah.
I believe is the highest it went. So that would be an incredible price. I mean, I got in as soon as it IPO'd. I believe I'm in at like $11. I mean, I haven't even looked at it. I just threw it aside. I made a lot of mistakes starting this channel, getting excited with HMMJ, buying it when it IPO'd, getting excited with Snap when it IPO'd, buying it at $25. And I've been honest about it. I've been honest about the fact that I've taken a beating. But my strategy with trading has always been long-term. I do not like to sell for a loss. If a stock goes down, I'll continue to watch it. And when it hits the bottom, I'll just buy more to lower my average cost. That's always been the way I've traded. I'm too stubborn to take a loss. I will not do it. It's probably a wrong way to trade, but it's just kind of my way of trading because I just do not like burning money. I just can't do it. One thing that I've learned from very successful traders is you have not lost until you sell. What do you think about that strategy?
That's a great long-term perspective. Now, for day traders, I do not recommend that. Day traders, you got to use your stops.
Exactly.
Swing traders, it's kind of in between. Some people use stop losses. Some people just ride it out. That's cool. Either way, sometimes my students ask me, should I use stop losses? And they may have a 2-month or 2-week or 6-month, whatever time frame. Then it's kind of borderline. You could go either way depending on how strong of an iron stomach you have and how big your account size is. But if you're going long term, yeah, think about Warren Buffett, the second richest man in America, quite possibly the greatest investor of his generation. Um, do you think it phases him? Do you think a $10 drawdown on one of his investments phases him?
No.
You think that bothers him?
No.
He has a 20 to 30 year time frame.
That's right.
Yeah, he bought Coca-Cola stock back in the 1980s, and he's holding. He doesn't care.
Exactly.
He bought Wells Fargo years ago. When Wells Fargo had that scandal about, allegedly, I want to, cover the legal basis here. Allegedly, Wells Fargo was double charged. They were creating two accounts for some of their banking clients, investment clients, and then double charging them for those two accounts. Wells Fargo stock went down. You think Buffett cared? You think he freaked out? You think he's a freak out kind of guy?
No. I don't want. I mean, I study Warren Buffett very, very, very heavily, and that's my style. He will not sell for a loss. What he does is he buys more. He says he has three things that he looks for: great management, great product, and strong revenue and little to no debt. As long as those three things are in place, he says if the stock goes down, he just buys more. He buys it on the cheap. And the other thing that he does, which I really believe in, is he negotiates and he buys directly from the company at a massive discount.
Right.
Which is what I do.
Now, we can't all do that.
We can, just most people don't know how. That's what I like to do is I like to call the company up and say, listen, how about I buy your stock directly from you through a private placement memorandum, and I buy it from you at a discount. I don't want to buy it in the open market. I'm a long-term investor. In Canada, it's a 4-month hold. In America, on a bulletin board stock, it's a 6-month hold. If it's a pink sheet, it's a 12-month hold. But typically, that's how I buy stocks. Now, since I started this program, since I started the show, I have been buying a lot more stocks in the open market. Has it worked out for me? At times. At times it hasn't. Especially buying some of these IPOs, which I got excited about, like Snap and like HMMJ. But because I believe in both companies long term, I'm not really concerned about the price. Maybe a little bit more concerned about Snap, to be quite honest with you, because they've just been getting beaten up. I'd like to know your opinion on Snap. What's your opinion on Snap?
You know what? I'm going to look at the chart before I answer that, and is that cheating? I don't know. But
of course not. I mean, I wouldn't want your opinion without you doing your due diligence.
There you go. All right. I'm going to put that on my monitor, which is not as big as your monitor, by the way. I'm experiencing screen envy. Okay, you got the big old monitor. Mine doesn't compare to yours. All right.
Screen envy, I like that. Whoever says size doesn't matter.
There you go. I'm looking at I put up the 1-year chart, although it hasn't been around for a year. Okay, so just the entire history of it. Looks like it IPO'd at around, what would that be? Probably around 24.48 is where it starts. Do you know about where it IPO'd?
It's it IPO'd at 17 for everyone that initially bought the stock and got in.
Okay.
But when it went public, it actually went public at around $22.
22.
When it opened up. Between 20 and 22. Now, I got in, and I couldn't buy until it got around 25, because it was like a feeding frenzy. It went all the way up to about 25, and then I got in at 25. It literally went up to $29.44. I put in about $7,000, and I was up $1,500, and I should have sold that. And I actually, in my gut, I was like, just take your money and run. Take your money and run. Take your money and run. And that really is the way I like to trade. And I didn't. I hesitated. It was a huge mistake now. And now it's all the way down to $15. And honestly, I'm seeing Seeking Alpha just hammered every day with articles about how they think it's going to go to single digits. So I'm getting a little concerned. I'm not going to lie to you.
I hear you. Seeking Alpha is a lagging indicator. Okay, analysts are a lagging indicator. You know that. I'm saying this for the benefit of everybody. Anything I say is probably not for you, but for everybody. Seeking Alpha, those articles. I've authored articles for similar types of websites.
Oh, wow.
And their prime objective, their prime directive, is not to help you and to help me. And to help other traders and investors. Their prime directive and objective is to get clicks and views.
Correct.
is to sell ad space, sell subscriptions if they have that, or sell the premium service, whatever that is. So they're going to put out headlines.
And a lot of them are shorting the stock, and a lot of them are longing the stock. So they're just trying to make money by influencing people to either buy or sell that security so that they can win on their own personal trades. And they even have that disclaimer at the bottom saying whether that they're long or short, or whether they have a position in the security that they're talking about.
Right, as long as they disclose it at the bottom where nobody reads it anyway.
That's right.
They'll say they have a position in it. The legalities of that are probably, I'm sure they're lawyered up and they know what they can get away with. Yes, they're allowed to buy it beforehand. Now, don't get me wrong. Does Seeking Alpha by itself have enough influence to pump a stock? Maybe if it's a low float stock, not necessarily Snapchat or something like that. Or if they shorted it, can they do the opposite of pumping it, which is dumping it? Do they have enough influence to get people to sell it? Probably not. But if it's a low floater, or maybe if it's a dry ships, something like that, or top ships, one of those penny stocks.
Well, so I'm a very heavily involved with Seeking Alpha, okay? They have sent me in the last 2 days about 10 emails about why Snap is going to continue to go down.
Why would they do that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, for me, I'm scared because I'm holding it. I'm sitting here going, "Holy shit! How many people are watching this? How many people are seeing this?" It's as if they have a vendetta against Snap, and it's as if they just want to hammer it down. And as a holder of it, to keep seeing that, I'm going to be honest with you, it makes me want to sell. It does. It does. I mean, and I'm not going to because I'm a hard-headed, stubborn Portuguese, hot-blooded guy. So I just will not do it. But man, it makes me want to sell. But I'm thinking the average person that sees that, they're probably going to sell because it's consistent. It's every day and it's like every hour. Another article about Snap and why you should sell. 3 reasons why you should sell. The number 1 reason why you should sell, and it's consistent, and I'm just like, holy shit, like, when is this gonna stop? It's scaring me, Dave. It's scaring me, man.
Wow. They'll shake you out if you let them. And nothing against Seeking Alpha or Investor Place or See It Market. They're all wonderful. I retweet their articles all the time. I retweet articles that I don't even agree with sometimes because I want to be fair and balanced and all that good stuff. But yeah, suddenly they're all against Snapchat after it went down 5, 10, 20%, whatever it is.
Exactly.
They're a lagging indicator, just like analysts are, just like 90% of retail traders are, just like if you go on StockTwits and Twitter. I love both of them. I'm a heavy user of both of them. But you go on them and you see the trending tickers on StockTwits and on Twitter, and everybody's flashing the red bearish signs on Snapchat now. Really, I would have a lot more respect for the people who flashed the bearish signs when it was 24 for Snapchat. Now they're going to be bearish after it went down X%. Personally, I try not to get down that much in the first place, but if I am, you could sell some covered calls on it until you're back, up to where you were before. 45 days out covered calls are not a bad idea because that seems to be the sweet spot, 45 days out. And just work your way back up until you're at least break even or even for a profit. Okay. I would not average down at this point unless you really love this company. And that depends on millennials. And, I love the millennials. I pick on them sometimes. I'm 45 years old. So sometimes I pick on the younger generations with the Robinhood app, who bought all the Snapchat up. God bless them all. You made a mistake. It's okay. I just hope you learn from it. And how do you work your way back up? If you're a long-term investor, I would stay in there. Can't tell you what to do, but I would stay in there, sell some covered calls against it, 45 days out of the money, and just work your way back up to break even at least. That's how I handle things like that.
Yeah, and you know what? That's great advice. For me, like watching it right now, I will not buy it because it's going down every day. So my kind of strategy is I'm going to watch it until I see it hit the floor because I don't think this is the floor, unfortunately. And I hope it is, but I don't think it is because just looking at the statistics, they've got all kinds of lockups coming up very soon at the end of July. So all of those people that are locked up that are becoming free trading, they're all going to be unloading at the end of July. So that hasn't even started yet. So once that starts, how low is it going to go? So for me, I've been through this before. I buy a lot of penny stocks. I have for about 18 years. It doesn't even faze me. So I just watch it get to the bottom. Let's say the bottom's $10. Then I'll load up. Now my average cost is about 17. So that's kind of the way I like to trade. And then when it comes back up, I'll find a way to get out. That's always been the way I've traded. I never panic. Yeah. But I will not just keep buying as it continues to go down. I want to see, like you said, I want to see it start turning around. I want to see some momentum, like the way Twitter has turned around. Twitter is another company that's an anomaly because it was a huge brand, very similar to Snap, that was struggling and dying, trying to figure out a way to generate revenue. And ever since they started to do their live streaming platform, they've turned it around, and they were down to $13. People don't remember. They're all the way back now at 18, and they're starting to regain momentum. And they're getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and they're starting to rebuild their brand. And I look at Twitter very similar to the way I look at Snap, because Snap is a new company. It's only had 1 quarter of financials that's come out. And in that quarter, the CEO, like a greedy bastard, took $1 billion in stock, which went on the financials as debt. Now, if he actually came to me, I would have showed him how he could create $1 billion of equity on his balance sheet if he took convertible preferred shares. And that would have been an equity on the balance sheet. Instead, being a moron, having horrible advisors, he took $1 billion of debt on the first quarter of financials, which obviously created the stock, crushed the stock, and killed all of his own shareholder loyalty and all of his own shareholder confidence, and made everybody look at him like a greedy bastard, which he is.
Yeah. I'm looking at the chart right now, looking also at the news. There they are, seeking alpha.
They're getting hammered.
There they are. You go on Google Finance, they aggregate all these.
Getting hammered, just hammered. And I get these emails in my inbox, and every email I'm just like, I'm shaking my head, I'm rubbing my head, I'm like, oh my god, what are these guys doing? So it's almost as if these guys are all shorting it. And I went out and said yesterday, this is the short of the century as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not going to short it because I've already longed it. But a part of me wants to. And most hedge funds, you know that most hedge funds are 50-50, right?
Yeah.
They cover themselves by having a 50% short and a 50% long. So what they do is if they're short right now on Snap, they're making a killing. But on their long positions, they're just going to reduce their long positions. And then once
the big boys, they usually do pair trades like that. They may buy SPY and then some, a VIX product to go along with it, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
So that's why they're called hedge funds. They hedge their bets.
That's right.
And there's, they usually beat the retails, such as you and me.
That's
so they may know a little something. I'm looking at the chart of Twitter right now. Back in April, I was hoping to get it at 12 something. Didn't happen. Such is life. Went down to the 14s looks like in April. Yeah, the low 14s. Man, that would have been a good price.
That's right.
I got greedy in the sense of I want this at a real bargain, price. It's been in the 12s before. Probably not going to happen now. $19.25 a share right now. Up today pretty handsomely, over 3%.
And climbing. Like, look at its last 2 months, 3 months. Look at the way it's climbed.
Let me see.
It's been doing incredible. I'm a huge fan of Twitter. And I was talking about Twitter way before it went down. And that was creating an incredible buying opportunity. And unfortunately, I made money on it on the way up. I sold. And then when it went down, I kind of was so busy with the show, I wasn't really focused on it. But I was talking about it, and it's been climbing up. And I'm a huge fan of Twitter because I believe in branding. And I believe that you're too big to fail when everybody sees that brand. And that brand eventually is going to translate into dollars. It might not happen today. Might not happen tomorrow. But it's the Warren Buffett system. When you have a good brand, you've got good management, you've got good product, and you're generating revenue and you have little to no debt, you will succeed over time. And Twitter is a great example of that. And I believe Snap will figure this out. But I think it's going to take some time, unfortunately. And with everybody jumping on the bandwagon... Sorry, go ahead.
Right. No, it's okay. Let me ask you this. Are you surprised, as I am, Trump is a huge tweeter. He's the tweeter in chief, as
That's right.
some people have said. And this is not a political show, and I'm not going to say anything for or against Trump, but just the fact that he's been bringing, brand name recognition to Twitter all over the place. Yeah, people already knew about Twitter, but it's become part of the common, language. What did Trump tweet this week? Okay. But I was surprised. You'd think that the fact that Trump is tweeting so much would have caused Twitter stock to skyrocket. It has not. Do you think it's possible that the market is just able to, here's my theory on this. I think that the market is so efficient that it prices everything in. The fact that Trump tweets, the market has known this for years, and so it already priced it in. By the time you and I are thinking about it, it's already there.
Yeah, I don't think Twitter is going up because of Trump. I think Twitter's going up because of their streaming deals. They've signed deals with the NFL. They've signed deals with some huge organizations, and they're consistently signing deals with live streaming. They are becoming one of the leaders in live streaming on a global scale. I believe that is the reason why Twitter is growing. And that is the reason why Twitter will continue to grow. They are starting to figure it out. They're starting to figure out how to use this global platform to generate real revenue, which is the issue that Snap is having. Snap is being destroyed because of Instagram. Instagram is owned by Facebook. And Facebook, being a $400 billion social media giant, the largest on the planet, looks at Snap as its competition. And what are they doing? Because they're bigger, they're stronger, they're crushing their competition. They've created Instagram stories, which is essentially copied Snapchat stories.
Yeah.
And what they've done is they've taken Instagram to the next level because they can. Facebook has grown through acquisition. They've acquired WhatsApp, which is one of the fastest growing companies on the planet. They've acquired Instagram, which is one of the fastest growing companies on the planet. So the reason why Facebook is growing is because they're growing through acquisition, which is the Berkshire Hathaway model, which is the Warren Buffett model, which is grow through acquisition. When you're a public company, you have shares, which you can print infinitum. So when you can use those shares and you can create convertible preferred shares, which I know how to create for public companies, and we could talk about that one day as well. And we could talk about it in depth, because every public company, especially small public companies, need to be using convertible preferred shares. A, because convertible preferred shares are an equity instrument. B, because you can use them to go out there and acquire private companies with stock which you print. And then when you acquire those private companies, you now are consolidating their balance sheets on your balance sheet, which is helping you build equity on your balance sheet, which is creating shareholder equity and creating shareholder value. And that is why Berkshire Hathaway trades at $250,000 per share.
Right.
He owns over, I think it's 30,000 private companies, which he's acquired with stock. So when you're doing that, and that's the model that Snap needs to adapt, it's the model that Facebook has adapted, it's the model that Amazon has adapted. Amazon just acquired Whole Foods with a combination of stock and cash. So when you're a huge company and you've got this stock which you can just print, why wouldn't you use those shares to go and acquire your growth as opposed to growing organically? Which is unfortunate, because most companies that are public, they don't know how to do this.
Right.
And I talk about with all these private companies that are going public in the marijuana industry, they don't have a clue about being public. And this is why a lot of them are getting destroyed, because they thought they could just go public, and because of the hype, their stocks would do well. And initially they did. But what happened is they were trading at 40 times multiples, David.
Yeah.
Which is insane. So obviously they've all retracted. They've come back to reality. I think a lot of them are going to just disappear. But the reality is the strongest and the biggest and the best companies, especially the ones in the ETF, I believe they will be the leaders of the medical marijuana industry moving forward. And those are the companies that I've kind of really put a bullseye on, the ones that are part of the ETF. And those are the ones that I've positioned myself in. I own almost all of them now. And I've been bleeding red because of it. But long term, I believe
Right.
that I'll do very, very well. And I want to be one of the leaders. Our platform, with your platform, I would like to be the leaders of not just the medical marijuana space, but the cryptocurrency space and
Yeah.
commodities, because there's a lot of people on YouTube, and we've talked about this, and a lot of them are a lot bigger than you and me. But I don't
Sure.
believe that they really have the education, the know-how, and the experience that you have and I have. I've been working in the industry for over 10 years. I work with private and public companies. I do IPOs. I actually help fund private and public companies. I restructure public companies. I help public companies create exposure. And I'm working with a lot of public companies on a day-to-day basis to really help them. Now, realistically, Rich TV Live has only been, on YouTube for 6 months. So we're just a baby. We're in our infancy stages. And I know you've been on YouTube for over a year, and your platform is a lot bigger. And David, I'd like you to take this opportunity to really kind of let all of the community that's watching know. Can you give them your stock Twitch handle, your Facebook handle, your Twitter handle, and your YouTube channel? I want people to subscribe to David because I believe David has a wealth of knowledge. You've got tons of great people that you're interviewing every day, and I've learned a lot from you, David. And you're actually one of the first YouTubers I followed, just so you know.
Well, thank you.
It's true.
And Rich TV is blowing up. I mean, for 6 months, and you're already, into the number of followers you have on YouTube is pretty amazing. Most people who've been doing it for 6 months have either given up or just or they don't put out the amount of content that you do. You live this. I mean, you take this seriously. You're streaming. You're always streaming something of value, and that's what people need to see. If they want to get on board with me, my name's David Moadel. I'm on Twitter. Just look up DavidMoadel, 1L. All right, there's an A in there. And also on StockTwits. So it's at David Moadel on Twitter, at David Moadel on StockTwits. All right, so check those out. Also on YouTube, just put my name in the search box. You'll find me. It's not hard. Look for the guy with not much hair. Okay, and and that is again David Moadel. Just go on YouTube and type that into the search box, and you'll find me. And what I do, I'm also on Facebook. You can find me there. I need to get with the WhatsApp program. I need to get with the Snapchat, Instagram program. I'll get there soon enough. Mr. Rich will probably guide me into that. Maybe I'm just old school. I need to get used to that. Okay. But as far as the YouTube channel goes, if you want to check it out, come on down. I do a lot of interviews. So some of the bigger names have actually said yes when I asked them, "Can I interview you?" I was amazed. Like when Gregory Mannarino, Charles Nenner, guys like that. Bo Polney, David Morgan, Michael Pinto. When these guys said, yes, I'll let you interview me, I'm like, really? I was expecting a no, and then they hit me with a yes, and I'm like, oh, crap. Now what do I do now? Okay. So, but then, I asked them the questions that the average retail trader wants to know about. I think that's what differentiates me from other financial interview channels like Greg Hunter, who's great. Greg Hunter is great. But he comes from a different perspective. He's a hard news guy. Okay, he was on TV as a reporting news kind of guy, and he brings that to his YouTube interviews. When I interviewed Cliff High, and then when Greg Morgan interviewed Cliff High earlier, it was two very different interviews. Greg Hunter is going to ask these guys about the end of the world scenarios, things like that. Are we going to have a Mad Max kind of situation? So he may appeal more to the preppers. Let's get our guns and canned goods and MREs, meals ready to eat. And stack some gold and silver. Get it ready for the Mad Max situation.
Wow.
Now when I interview a lot of these same people and a lot of different people too. I don't ask them, is the world going to end? Should we get our, that kind of thing? I'm more from the perspective of, hey, I've saved up $50,000 or $20,000 or $100,000. I'm your average retail trader. I'm afraid to invest in stocks because they seem so expensive. What the heck do I do with my money? Do I get gold, silver? If I do I get the ETF? Because it's so much easier just to go on E-Trade and buy an ETF and just hit that button there, the buy button. or should I send away for some physical gold and silver? And then how do I store that? What the heck do I do with it? Should I get into bonds? Should I buy stocks, ETFs? What the heck do I do? How do I invest or trade my money? I've interviewed technical traders as well, not just the gold and silver guys. The Fibonacci queen herself, Carolyn Borden, was nice enough to give me an opportunity to speak with her. Gwen Preston, people like that. I mean, it's John Carter, for goodness sake. Just the titans of trading and investing. I've gotten to speak to some of the best in the world, and
Wow, that's
and I'm
impressive.
still doing it.
No, and that's one of the things that I really liked about you, David, is you actually followed me on StockTwits, and I had like 2 followers, and I saw you follow me, and I was like, David is following me? And I instantly messaged you, and you messaged me right back. And you know what, man? You're a class act, David. You're a class act.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. It's not about how many followers you have or anything like that. I recently interviewed, some people who didn't have a lot of followers. I interviewed recently an astrology stock guy,
Wow.
And that may not be how I trade personally, but I want my YouTube channel to be like an encyclopedia of trading and investing. I want to get all perspectives, the short-term people, the long-term people, the gold and silver, precious metal, hoarders, stackers, whatever you want to call them, or the people who believe, I interviewed Kenny Glick from Hit the Bid. And unlike most of the people I interview, he says, you know what? I don't think the stock market's going to crash. I think Dow 40,000 is going to happen within the next few years.
Wow.
So, yeah, and he used to trade on the he's a trading floor guy, basically, on the stock exchange. Another one, Louis Borsellino, another guy who he's retired from that now, but he was famous on the CME floor.
Wow.
And the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And again, he agreed with Mr. Glick that, the stock market is it's going up, and why fight it? Why bet on why bet on a crash in this type of manipulated environment? So I've got people saying, guys like Cliff High and people like that, Bo Polney, who says expect massive volatility. This is not sustainable the way things are going. And I've interviewed people who said nonsense. It's a bull market. Don't fight the Fed. It cannot go down. Will not go down. Just put your money in there and just sit on it.
I hope they're right. I hope they're right. I hope they're right.
They can't all be right. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Such diversity, and I allow the viewer, the listener, you guys, to make your own decisions and take what you can from all these people. All right. And then I make my own videos as well. I've got videos, where I teach, because I used to teach elementary school. I taught 5th grade for 4.5 years. I was a 5th grade teacher, believe it or not. I've taught at the high school level. I've taught at the college level. And so I consider myself an educator, and I have brief educational introductory videos on MACD, stochastics, RSI, Bollinger Bands, all that stuff, including some of the obscure indicators, the Gann wheel, the Darvas box, all right, the things that most people have never heard of but are very popular. I've noticed that the Darvas box and the Gann wheel are very popular in the India-Pakistan area for whatever reason. They have tons of videos on that, and I got a lot of responses from people in that part of the world, and that's awesome. I love every culture and hearing from everybody. Okay,
that's great.
I'm curious about is the Canadian end of things, because that's your location. What is the feeling about the American stock market in the NSYE in Canada? I mean, do you guys feel the fear of a frothy, toppy market like we do?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Canadians are very conservative. I'm a very abnormal Canadian. I'm a risk taker. Always have been. I'm an opportunist. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, but sometimes it makes me very wealthy. So I'm a lot more American than most Canadians. I think Canadians are extremely conservative. Americans are extremely capitalistic, and I love that about Americans. And Americans love to take risk, and that's why I love America. Most of my clients that I work with are American. I actually don't even work with any Canadians. Because Canadian
Okay.
companies take 6 months to a year to make a decision.
Really?
Whereas I could
Okay.
call up an American company today, tell them, hey, I'm Rich TV Live, I want to get you on my show, and they'll make a decision today.
Really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So all of my clients are in America. For the last 10 years, I've been working with American companies, and I will refuse to work with Canadians. I will refuse to.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just like a waste of my time. It's like a
Okay.
waste of my
I'm so
time.
curious about just Canadian culture and finance because as an American, Americans such as myself, a lot of us just don't have the awareness. We don't have. Yeah, you're our neighbor.
Well,
And
one
yet
thing I could tell you,
somehow.
about Canadians is we have great fundamentals. Like our Canadian companies, like if you look at all the Canadian companies that are in the medical marijuana space, they all have between 50 to 100 million in the bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are the total
Yes,
opposite of the American companies. The American
yeah.
companies have no money in the bank and 3 million in debt.
Right. Right.
I can give you an
I love.
example. Like
Yeah.
take a look at BVTK. I mean, do you know how to read financials?
I do.
Okay, well, BVTK, one of the hottest stocks in America. I'm speaking to Tom to actually come on my show. Unfortunately, he's had a death in his family this week, and he needs some time. And Tom, I wish you the best in your family to get through this tough time. But BVTK is a company that's up 2,000%, going up every single day. A lot of my subscribers are winning on that stock every single day. It's got a stop sign. It's got a cease trade order in British Columbia. We cannot buy it in Canada. You cannot buy it anywhere in Canada. But in America, you got the green light. So it's a perfect example of how we are in Canada versus how they are in America. And if you look at their financials, they got 13 grand in the bank and 3.5 million in debt.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you look at Canadian companies, you would never see that.
Right.
Like a
right.
Canadian company, you would never see with 3 million in debt and 13 grand in the bank. They would be out of business.
I'm looking at the chart for BVTK. That is obviously a sub penny stock. How do I even say that?
And our 0022. 0022. In our community, we call that the underworld.
A fifth. That is 1/5 of a penny.
That's correct.
But
that company, David, has in the last couple of weeks signed one deal with a telecom company for $1 million in revenue. Another deal with another company for $2.5 million in revenue, and is working on incredible. I've signed an NDA, so I can't really say too much, but they are working on some incredible things.
Okay.
And they've got a stop sign. They've got a cease trade order in Canada. We can't even buy the stock. So it's kind of frustrating for me because I want to, because I believe it's going places. But being Canadian, they won't even let us. I have to literally set up an Alpine account just to buy the stock, which I can't because being a Canadian, you can't have an Alpine account. So it's funny because some of my subscribers are like, don't worry, Rich, we'll buy it for you. And I'm just like, no. As long as you guys can buy it and win, I'm happy. So that's just a great example of how we are so conservative here in Canada versus America. And that's why I love America, because America creates more millionaires than any other country on the planet. And it's because of that risky nature that Americans have, which is in my blood at my core, and I love it.
Right.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? I can
it.
feel with you that you are somewhat like a Canadian. You're very conservative, and I think that's good. And that's why I think the two of us will work really well together, David, because I'm kind of a little too risky at times for my own good. And maybe if I had someone like you I could bounce an idea off of once in a while, you could put the stop on me at times and be like, Rich, you need to calm down. You know, you need to calm down. Calm down. And I want to ask a couple of our subscribers have asked a couple questions. So I want to ask you direct questions. We're going to change gears a little bit, okay? We're going to get into cryptocurrencies.
Nice.
So first of all, there is a cryptocurrency on Cryptopia, the Cryptopia exchange, that I want to bring to everybody's attention. DJ Cloud Ninja, one of my subscribers, his name is Kenny Lee, one of our partners, an incredible member of our community. He is a DJ. He works with a lot of very high-level DJs all over the world and in America. He's in Nevada. And he brought my attention to CHC, Chaincoin. Now, this cryptocurrency today is up 165%. A lot of our subscribers in our community were getting trained on how to set up their account just yesterday. And Kenny was giving them his referral link to get set up, and they're all up today. Now, have you ever heard of CHC? Have you ever heard of Chaincoin? And if so, what do you think? Or what do you think about a coin that's up that much? Would you buy it? Would you stay away? What's your opinion on a coin that's going up hundreds of %? Now, he believes, he's done a lot of research, okay? And this is a brand new coin. It's got a low float, very tight. And the guys that have been talking on YouTube about it that brought it to his attention believe this is going to go up like 1,000%. Now, Kenny believes it's going to go up 1,000% too. Now, I like to buy in the red, sell in the green. It's not really my style to hold for 1,000% return. But what do you think about some of that opinion?
Sure. Chaincoin, heard of it. I probably, since he's done the research, and thank you for the question, by the way, since if you've done the research on Chaincoin in particular, then you know more than I do about it. I'm looking at the chart right here. The chart is not that different from other cryptocurrencies. Kind of like marijuana stocks, they travel together. Don't get me wrong, if Ethereum gets hacked in particular, then that's going to diverge from the rest of the Bitcoin, from the rest of the altcoins, but not that much, because if when people who have Bitcoin and Dogecoin and Litecoin all see that Ethereum got hacked, they're going to sell whatever altcoins they have, okay, or Bitcoin. So they tend to travel together. So my question is, what differentiates Chaincoin from the others? If it's low float, if it doesn't have a lot of acceptance yet among investors and among users, how many people are actually using Chaincoin? That's my question. At least with Bitcoin, you can find people who actually have used it. Imagine that, okay? You remember pets.com back in the year 2000, pets.com? That stock went up and up and up during the dot-com bubble. But how many people were actually buying their dog collars on pets.com? I didn't know anybody back in the year 2000. They went to, back then Kmart, okay, or Walmart, or whatever, or they just went to PetSmart, here in the United States. They were not buying their dog collars and other pet accessories on Pets.com, and it tanked and was eventually delisted. And people who spent, whoever put their money into it, even if they didn't put it at the top, even if they put it anywhere, they lost all their money if they held on to it. Okay.
Yeah,
why?
Sure.
Because people weren't actually using the service or product, pets.com. Okay. And they had, back here in the States, they had TV commercials all over the place with a sock puppet. Hi, I'm the pets.com sock puppet. Cute, ha ha. They did everything. They didn't do anything wrong, but people, it just didn't catch on. It didn't resonate with people.
Well, I think if they were ahead of their time. I mean, if they did that today, they'd be a huge success. Just throw it on Amazon and you just sit back and collect.
Yep. You can't be that far ahead of your time.
Exactly, because in 2000, people were barely even using computers.
Right, exactly.
They're just learning about computers. Everybody at that time thought computers was a big bust.
Right, exactly. So now when it comes to some of these altcoins, are they like pets.com, some of them? I asked myself, how many people are actually using it? Not investing it, not buying it as a stockholder or not stockholder, but as an investment. How many people are actually using it? Can you name 3 friends that are using it? I can with Bitcoin, barely. I can barely name 3 friends who are using it, but at least that's something. When it comes to like Dogecoin, it's got a cute little Shiba Inu on the front there. Great. How many? Can you name 3 friends who are actually using it? And now, of course, if you're Dogecoin users supposedly are a very tight-knit community. So if you're in that community, you could probably name 20 people who are using it. But your average crypto-aware person on the street, are they using Chaincoin? I'm guessing probably not yet. Now, if you get in on the ground floor, but I'm looking at the chart now, that's not what a ground floor looks like.
No.
It looks like it's up massively. So would I invest in it right now? No, until it gets more acceptance. Until I see that's not a pets.com. Okay, I think a lot of these cryptocurrencies, especially the altcoins, are going to go by the wayside. They can't all be successful. They can't. How many? You may know the answer to this more than I do. How many altcoins? How many cryptocurrencies are out there right now?
About 805.
How many?
805.
800. Look at this man. He knows the exact answer. Awesome. 805 cryptocurrencies. How many of them can survive? Less than 50%, I would assume. They can't all be successful.
I agree with you there. My strategy is to invest in only the best ones. So that's what I've been really focused on. Is they kind of rank them on Coin Market Cap and some of the different sites that they have. They rank them based on market cap. They rank them based on price, based on volume. So what my strategy's been, and I've been starting to accumulate cryptocurrencies, just like I accumulate stocks and I accumulate real estate. For me, creating wealth, you need to be diversified. And one of the things I want to talk about soon is also talking about precious metals and commodities and how you need to diversify and accumulate as many as you can. But with cryptocurrencies, I've been accumulating the top 10. And I own Bitcoin, I own BitShares, I own Litecoin, and I own Unigot, UNY, which is not one of the top 10, but it's a company that we're working with closely, and we are working to get them on our show to be one of our clients and one of our partners. So we're looking to really kind of have a good relationship with them, and they are managing their coins based on gold. So they're measuring their coin based on real gold. So I really like their platform. And what they're doing is they're strictly mining the best. They're mining Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, and Dash, I believe. So their strategy is similar. Mine only the top 4 and have everything measured and housed and protected by gold. So I really like their model, which is obviously the same model as the American dollar, right? So if you have a model like that, that's a model that I can really rally behind, as opposed to something that's kind of measured on thin air. And that's something I'm concerned about. And
I've interviewed so many people who say that, just like the US dollar is based on, it's fiat currency, and they just keep printing it and printing it and printing it. So it's, going to be almost worthless someday. Some people have told me that I've interviewed. So at least what this idea that you've just mentioned, at least it's backed by something physical, something tangible.
That's right.
That would make me feel a little more comfortable with it than some of these. I'm looking on the ChainCoin website right now on my monitor over here, and decentralized. It's got a big thing about decentralized governance. Great, but that's true of all the altcoins. What's special about this one? Let's see, financial independence. Personal banking. ChainCoin will become your own personal bank. Easily store your coins. Blah blah blah. Okay, what's different about this one?
Hold on. I have a question. So Kenny is the guy who's been telling us about CHC. He's done a lot of research. Do you know what a master node is?
I do.
Okay, so that answers your question, Kenny. So he does know what a master mode is. So essentially, I can't really explain it because Kenny can explain it.
It says it right here on the I just saw it. I just noticed it. Chaincoin.com. Master nodes increases privacy by mixing coins from different sources to make tracking the source of transactions difficult. So it's a privacy / security thing. Okay, is that enough to make it popular enough to gain mainstream use among the types of people that are into, alternative currencies? Maybe, maybe not. Am I going to, throw a lot of money into this? No. Am I against putting a small position on it? Based on that, okay, small position. That's your lotto play.
Exactly.
I'm just personally not into it. I don't want to offend Kenny.
No, Kenny. Kenny doesn't get offended. Like, one thing you have to understand with our community is we will not get offended.
Right.
Because we want to learn. I'm not a guy that ever says I'm perfect. I'm not a perfect trader. I make tons of mistakes. I'm not perfect in life, and I want to learn. Okay? One of the first things I said to you, David, is I'm even looking for a mentor. We all need mentors, right? And we need to consistently learn. And I'm brand new to cryptocurrencies. And when I first got into cryptocurrencies, it's been like a month, And when I first got into cryptocurrencies, I got scammed. I got into a company called Crypto Clone. I got excited because I didn't know, and I put $1,000 into this lottery ticket, and it was a scam. They scammed everybody's money, not just me. A bunch of our subscribers got scammed too because they were promising 300% returns, 300% returns in 300 hours. And I'm thinking, oh, this is great. I didn't know nothing about cryptocurrencies. I go and take the risk, and I got scammed. But I'm proud to admit that I learned from that. And this is almost like cryptocurrency university for me because it's a crash course, and there is no university for this. So the only way you learn, similar to like the stock market, is you learn, unfortunately, sometimes the hard way. I remember when I first got into stocks in 2007 very heavily, I put $20,000 in, and I signed up for a whole bunch of promoter websites, and I bought all the different stocks that all the promoters were investing in, and they were promoting. I lost the entire 20 grand. But trust me when I tell you, I learned a lot from that, okay? About what not to do. And from that, I started actually calling public companies, learning how to deal with them directly, learning how to invest in them directly, learning how to read balance sheets, learning how to read financials, learning how to create shares, learning how to create convertible preferred shares, learning how companies raise money by converting toxic debt, and how that toxic debt can be purchased by toxic funders, and how those toxic funders can sell that stock to triple or nothing and still make money and crush stocks to nothing, and how companies can do a reverse split every 6 months and they don't give a shit about their shareholders. And I was just like, holy shit! It blew my mind. I was like, this actually happening? And I'm telling you, 99.9% of the investors out there still don't know.
Right.
So
I want to see if there are any, before we wrap it up in a few minutes, I want to see, or at least for me, I want to see if there are any other questions that people have or comments.
So another question is, what do you think about Ripple?
Ripple, again, Ripple seems to be gaining a lot of acceptance. I'm going to look at the chart right now, actually. You know, I always look at the chart. I mean, that kind of guides me as to, let me type it in, let me Google it. Ripple.
And just so you know, David just said, you're good, David. Speak the truth. We are here to learn. Kenny just said that. So my guys in my community really appreciate honesty. That is extremely important to us. We will not have anybody in our community who lies.
Yeah, okay. Well, I appreciate that. Ripple is ripping today. It's up 5% about. You know what I like about Ripple? It's, first of all, it's low priced. You know, it's not two grand for one unit. So that makes it very, you know, I don't know, appealing. Again, are people using it? When I look at the chart, again, they're all kind of coming together. As far as all the altcoins, this chart doesn't look very different to me from the one I just looked at with Chaincoin. It doesn't look that different from Litecoin. It doesn't look that different from, you know, Dash, Ethereum, and so on and so forth. It went up to, oh my goodness, seems like the top was around, what, 60 cents, 60 something. Now it's, 19. All right. I'm sorry, 19 BTC units here. So, and now it's, I don't know. I see lower highs, lower lows, even though it's up today. If you pull back the chart and just look at the big picture, it looks like a falling knife from the big picture perspective. I'm going to wait until people calm down and stop dumping it so much before I buy into it. I'm not going to buy something that's going down. I'm not going to say every day. It's not down today. You know, people look at a 5% up day on something and they say, "Oh, it's done falling."
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It has to. After it's come down that much, you need to wait for it to create a floor and to start to spike. And if you see that, then you actually can start believing that it's turning around, which is what I've been talking to everyone about the marijuana stocks. Why I've been talking to everyone about why I love Aurora Cannabis so much. And I've loaded up on Aurora Cannabis because they're a huge marijuana company in Germany, in America, in Canada, global acceptance in Australia, and they're at $2. So I'm loading up on it big time. And it's going up now, and I'm making money. So that's the strategy that I have for everything I'm investing in. I've been hurt recently, so my new strategy is buy in the red, sell in the green, and only buy in the red with great companies that have started to turn around, that have some type of a catalyst that's making you truly believe there's a reason why that company is going to continue to move. Since I've accepted that new strategy, not only me, but my entire community has started to win.
Right.
Consistently. Now,
Yep.
real quickly before we go, I got to touch on commodities. What do you think about oil, gas, and silver before we go?
Oh my goodness, so many. Let's see. Let me
Just
take a look at
quickly,
the
what you
charts.
think about it? Well, what do you think about
Okay,
it going
well,
into...
oil seems to have a range between 40 and 50. It's chopping around in the middle. It went down. USO, which is, in the States here, that's the ETF for oil.
Yep.
My girlfriend bought at a low price, and she's enjoying profits now.
Great.
I didn't get in. I should have. You still can. USO is what? And still in the low nines now, I believe. Let me just check that real quick. USO 935. Yeah, she bought at 924.
USO.
So she's doing well already.
Very good.
Yeah, anytime USO, the ETF, gets into the nines, it's a buy because it's in the lower part of the channel.
Absolutely.
I don't see any reason why a barrel of sweet light crude Texas oil should go far below 40. I think that's pretty much a floor now. Yes, it went down to 26 and change a barrel at one point, but that was probably a once or twice in a lifetime thing. And even, it went down to 26 and change. Came right back up to
100.
The mid 50s.
Didn't it go to 100? I mean, didn't it hit 100?
Yeah, at one point. Again, that's
that was the selling opportunity right there. The 26 was your buying opportunity, the 100 was your selling opportunity, and now we're somewhere a little bit in between at around $44 or $45 right now, right?
Yeah, it went up to over $100 a barrel, came down to 26 and change, went up to the mid 50s. Now it's what? How much is it per barrel? I'm thinking the mid 40s. So there's a range. When a barrel of oil goes down to 40, you can buy it. When it hits 50, you can sell it. Or if you're more conservative, when it hits 45, you can sell it. Rinse and repeat. Want to look at gold and silver, SLV. I thought about buying at 15. It's $15.06, so it's not too late for me to get in. I'm thinking about it. If SLV goes below 15, why not buy some? It never stays below 15 for long.
But would you think that SLV is the best way to buy, or would you just set up an account at Kitco and just buy physical gold and silver? That's kind of what I'd rather do personally, as opposed to buying the stock. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Right. I've interviewed like Lynette Zhang I interviewed recently, who gave me a verbal smackdown for even bringing up GLD and SLV. She says, no, don't do it. Cliff High, same thing. Bo Polney, all these guys, David Morgan, they're all about the Greg Manarino.
They want the physical silver and gold in their hands.
They want something in their hands. But on the other hand, they're thinking of slightly end of the world-ish kind of scenarios. I'm more, again, my YouTube channel is more from the perspective of somebody who has 20,000, 50,000, whatever in their account that they've saved up. What the heck do I do with my money over the next month, 2 months, 6 months, year? We're not as concerned about end of the world scenarios. We know they can happen, but we're hedged properly. So we're not going to necessarily worry about our ETFs becoming worthless because the world is ending. Seems unlikely. Okay, if a stock market crash does happen, it happens. It happened in 2008. Did that make all the ETFs worthless? No. If you held on to them, you'd be fine.
I mean, a lot of people forget. I remember when it crashed, I met a very rich guy, and he said, Rich, buy everything. It's like picking cherries. And literally within 6 months, everything was right back to the original price.
Yeah.
Even less than that. I think it was 3 months. It was just crashed and right back up.
GLD and SLV, right. GLD and SLV tend to move together, just like the marijuana stocks, just like the cryptos. I'm going to take a look right now at GLD, the chart. Yeah, looking at the 1 year chart of GLD, doesn't look extremely different from SLV. It is at the bottom of its recent range, so it is viable here. It's at 116. Tell you what, if it hits 110, I'll buy some. What the heck?
Okay.
If you want something cheaper, go with IAU, which has just as much volume as GLD, or approximately the same amount of volume, and it's much cheaper. It's about 1/10 of the price of GLD. GLD is just well known because it's easy to remember. GLD gold, right? IAU. It's like, what the heck is that? So I'd say you can buy it here, or be like me and just wait for a slightly lower price. Yeah, and just sit on it. Sell covered calls on it while you're waiting, or sell a put. What if you sold a 110 strike put for GLD 45 days out? How would that hurt you? If it never goes down to 110 in the next 45 days, you make a little free money
Exactly.
from the premium you sold. If it does go down, great. You bought it at a good price, and you just sit on it, and you still collected the money from the, and then you start selling covered calls against it once you get assigned. So rinse and repeat, right?
I love it. I love it.
So cool. Any last minute questions, comments?
No, I think the only thing I can say is one of my friends. I'm gonna leave. We're gonna leave very soon on this. So one of my friends. I don't know if you're interested. Two of my friends just went to Turkey, and they just got hair transplants. Cost $2,000.
Yeah. Cool.
So my buddy just said, "Hey Dave, don't worry. If you want a hair transplant, we can fly you to Turkey for $2,000. For $2,000. No, you're not. Believe me, my buddy had no hair. He went to Turkey, and he's got a full head of hair like me now. More hair than me. For $2,000, $5,000 round trip, Dave. We'll make some money, buddy, and then we'll set some goals. How about that?"
There we go. You got it, man.
All right,
Awesome.
David. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. I think this has been a fountain of information. And you know what? Let's do this every week, Dave. If you can find the time, I'll find the time, buddy. I'd love to have you on the show. And I think this would be great if we could just do this once a week. It would be Dave and Rich, and we just talk stocks, cryptocurrencies, commodities, and we just talk about what's trending.
Well, just to let everybody know who's watching now, I will reserve this time for next week. So
Perfect.
If you tune back in, same bat time, same bat channel, I'll be here, and I'll try to do the full hour again. And awesome, Mr. Rich, I'll let you sign it off.
Thank you, Dave. You have been a pleasure, my friend. This is almost like a dream come true. Dave is the first partner, the first YouTuber that has collaborated with Rich TV Live. It's a dream come true. Thank you very much, Dave, for everything. This is Rich and Dave saying peace. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see you guys soon. Have a great day, everybody. And if you're not winning, you're not watching.